Canada will let healthcare professionals legally use psychedelic mushrooms, Health Minister says.
Here's a summary of the article.
President-elect Joe Biden has picked the current Attorney General of California to serve as the next federal Secretary of Health and Human Services, a position that could play a central role in loosening laws prohibiting marijuana. Before getting into the details of Becerra's record, here's why the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is important to enacting a cannabis policy change at the federal level. While the Justice Department plays a key role in marijuana's federal scheduling, a medical and scientific review by HHS is binding on the Attorney General's subsequent classification decision. While pushing for federal reforms to marijuana policies and defending his state's program from interference, Becerra has also led efforts to crack down on cannabis operations in California that do not comply with local law. The Attorney General said in 2019 that illegal cultivation and marijuana sales represent some of the most challenging regulatory enforcement problems and that these illicit activities harm the ability for the industry to be a legitimate one. However, he said, "I do agree with the initiative and the votes of the people in California to move from criminalizing to regulating cannabis." In October of this year, Becerra touted that more than 1.1 million marijuana plants at 455 illegal grow sites were eradicated as part of the state's annual campaign against marijuana planting program. Our camp team eradicated more than 1 million illegal marijuana plants as part of our annual campaign against marijuana planting. The then congressman also approved amendments to let the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs recommend medical marijuana to veterans, protect state industrial hemp and CBD programs, give cannabis businesses access to the banking system and promote hemp research.
This post received a score of 24,000, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
The first doctor to make a retreat-type place with a waterfall and pool and hiking paths and moderately supervised environment, like okay there are 2 hours of playtime and then a solo and group therapy session, is gonna be rich.
Hilarious. I just saw an ad on Reddit for a place called fieldtriphealth.com. Looks to be just that.
Looks like they do ketamine.
I don't think I'd want to go hiking on ketamine lol.
Then you haven't done good. Ketamine from the pharmacy in small bumps. Beautiful thing if you begin with moderation and bump around.
The real life pro tips are always in the comments.
Life pro trips.
The U.S. strong-armed Canada into following their drug schedule in the 70s when decriminalization of most drugs was favored and on the table. We are 50 years and countless suicides and violent crimes behind due to this.
True. Justin's dad Trudeau Sr. was considering decriminalizing cannabis in the 70s. But there was too much resistance to the idea. The Liberals were close to doing it in the early 2000s as well but then lost power to Harper, Conservatives. At least we got medicinal at that time, though, before Harper, under the Liberals, though surprisingly Harper actually did expand the medicinal system and made it better, more robust.
Yes, but Harper also tried repeatedly to shut down Insight Clinic in Vancouver. At the time it was the most studied safe injection site in the world, I think. It was providing tons of justification for robust harm reduction strategies. I'm not a user of opioids, but just knowing that they'd rather shut down something that provided peer-reviewed data and evidence because it didn't fit with their narrative about drugs and crime was the first time I realized that the federal Conservatives were not good faith political actors in Canada. So, I guess, thanks Steve Harper.
The thing that bothered me the most about it was that it was a local site. If you don't live in Vancouver it doesn't affect you. If the locals want it, let them have it. Let the idea play out and see the data afterwards. Society can't improve if nothing new is ever tried.
Well said.
Buckle up for a different future than we've all expected.
That's what I'm saying. My first thought the first time I tripped was that the world is massively sleeping on psychedelics and the world would drastically change if they were more widely used. And since it seems the path we're on is towards gradually normalizing them, the only conclusion is that society's conception of what the future looks like is missing a huge ingredient.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.